Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
Hey, I'm ready for some TikTok.
We've got Chris.
Karl Marx had some good ideas.
And I'm Kia. Hello. Wait, none of you did his famous catchphrase, his battle cry, spoon?
We didn't get to that.
You're right, we didn't get to that. So today we read the first 6 issues of The Tick from all the way back in the early 90s or so. Black and white.
No, 88.
Super indie, later owned. Was it 1988 is when these came out?
Yeah, this dude, Ben Edlund, this book came out when he was 20. It's 20.
That's crazy.
The TV show when he was 26. But spoiler for the end, the last issue we read, the last words are next issue, spoon! So
yeah, it's coming. It's coming there. We figured we'd read The Tick because he's getting a new live action series on Amazon, which should be pretty exciting. I'm kind of looking forward to it. But I always grew up really enjoying the cartoon. I wouldn't say I followed it super closely because honestly, I barely remember anything about it. But I just remember always enjoying it. And then he had that live action show in the early 2000s, was it? Which, definitely made some changes, and we'll talk about all that. Now he's got another show coming out, so yeah, why not go back and look at some of this stuff? We read the first 6 issues, which these aren't really what I expected. It's
not at all.
Not at all, which is interesting to kind of see his process and his kind of evolution and how this comic became its own little thing. Because, especially being an indie comics creator, New England Comics was the publisher, so just like this tiny little place. And he just kind of made his own thing, because why not? But you don't have any sort of larger, I guess, editor working too heavily with that sort of thing, and it takes him a while to get going, you can tell. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself, but...
it is definitely like a 20-year-old making comics for his local comic shop. Yeah,
like it has that feel to it,
which I wasn't expecting. Because I was expecting, like, I think in my view of the TV shows, it's all like the city, and it's kind of got this weird kind of superhero satire. So I was expecting them to like not take the piss out of a lot of 80s comics. I wasn't expecting it to be just kind of like goofy in the way that it is goofy. But
I think it kind of gets there, and it evolves a little bit as we go through these first 6 issues. And granted, it's still very young. I would eventually like to go back and read some of the later stuff, but for right now, it's the first 6. The first 2 issues kind of have him meeting a Superman parody. The next 3 issues,
it's not even a Superman parody, though. It's legitimately a dude who looks exactly like Superman, named Clark, works for the Daily the Daily World, not the Daily Planet, and his boss is Perry Beige. Like, I thought it was going to be like a parody or satire comic. It's literally a Superman issue in which the Tick stars.
Yeah, that's what it started to feel like. The same thing kind of happens with the next 3 issues with the Elektra knockoff. What was her name? Oedipus. That's right. Which bothered me because that's like...
That's a dude.
Oedipus is
that's
a
dude. Boy's name.
Yeah, whatever.
The joke is Elektra complex, Oedipus complex.
I get it, but it was still weird.
This kid took college classes.
Then you've got... again, it just felt more like an Elektra story that the Tick happened to be a part of a little bit. And it's not till issue 6 where he kind of feels like he's starting to develop his own thing. But even throughout the whole thing, there's a lot of fun. In the Superman comics, so it kind of starts off with him like coming out of a mental institution, like breaking out, right? And it's like, who is this guy? What is he? Is he crazy? Is he sane? And it kind of feels like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if a superhero just did silly things like this? Like, that's kind of how this whole first issue feels. Like, hey, wouldn't this be silly? Wouldn't that be silly?
I mean,
but in a way that it's very specifically mocking Frank Miller comics.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is good. And that's what I was expecting a lot of. I love that, like, even more so than Batman, he never stops being the Tick. Like, you don't know what his real identity is. I really appreciate
I don't think he knows what his real identity is.
But he's so like focused on fighting crime that like there's a person that's in danger or something, and he just leaves them. He's like, I'm sorry, I've got to go fight crime. And I really enjoyed that. I'm like, this is nice. It was a good touch. I really liked these first 2 issues. I didn't really like the Elektra issues as much, but I really liked these first 2 issues. I thought they were suitably goofy, and the way that he just kept wanting to talk to Clark Kent. He's like, we're both superheroes. And Clark Kent's like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I know what's going on. And he wears a hypnotic tie to trick people into not thinking that he's the Tick, but he still has his Tick costume on, just a tie. Which then I think he discovers Superman has hypnotic glasses. Is that his trick? Which I thought was like, that's a pretty good.
Yeah, that's how he keeps people from recognizing him. Yeah,
I was like, that's a good canon answer.
Which was a parody of I think Bronze Age Superman. Because they're like, well, we have to say something, so they said that he had like hypnosis powers or something, so that everybody projected him, Clark Kent, as being like a fat nerd. But it was because he had like these hypnosis powers.
Oh, that's too good. I love the deconstruction of the Tick character when he's sitting at Nighthawks, the name of that diner from the painting, and they're like, what the hell? You're not a Tick. You're a damn, do you suck blood? No, Ticks suck blood, man.
No, he says he does suck blood.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. He does. Yeah, that's right. It's such a silly conversation, and it like escalates so beautifully. I really loved it. I also love the art throughout this whole thing. It's black and white. There's some recolored versions of that floating around, but I was reading the black and white one. It's really nice, like really beautiful shading, really crisp, clean. Like he's got such a it's such a unique character. Like the Tick is just there, and he kind of stands out immediately. I don't know, fell in love with him instantly.
Yeah, and I mean Ben Edlund, I think his art's really good, but he's also, I mean, he wrote I think 3 episodes of the Venture Brothers, seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So the reason he did that is because Jackson Publick he recruited Jackson Publick to write a Tick spin-off comic. And then they both did the Tick cartoon and the Tick live action show together, which is crazy.
Oh, wow. You can tell, like, for stuff like Venture Brothers does take a lot of inspiration from the Tick.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that, but now looking back, you're like, oh, yeah, duh.
So like characters in costumes just kind of like standing there unheroically being like, well, here's my apartment. That's such a Venture Brothers kind of scene.
I have conjured pizza rolls.
And I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but in the Elektra storyline, all the minions, all the ninjas, and kind of their conversations with each other, it's like super reminds me of the Monarch's henchmen from Venture Brothers. Like it's almost exactly the same thing, where you kind of see these characters who are just, what do we do, boss? Like that kind of thing.
Take my Nissan Stanza. It's just a Ray Romano impression.
Deborah. I didn't like the second issue of the Superman thing as much because it started to feel a little too much like what is that?
It's our co-host. It's our co-host. Motorcycle Man.
Man on the motorcycle. Yeah, it felt like it was just maybe steeped a little too much in the whole Clark Kent story. I thought it was going to be more of him going around messing with other people, and I was a little surprised to see more Clark Kent.
Right.
But it was still a lot of fun. How, again, he's just pestering him so much to the point where Clark Kent snaps and he starts beating him up. And I think maybe my favorite moment in a lot of these comics is where he's broken his glasses or lost them or whatever, and Jimmy, no, not Jimmy, it's Billy is his name, the little assistant walks in, and he does the fingers over his eyes to make glasses thing. That got me good. That got me. There's, like, most of the time I'm like, all right, these are cute, these are kind of funny, and a few times I laughed out loud. That was one of them.
Yeah. It is weird too, like nothing. Again, it's very like anti-comedy, which is kind of surprising for like 1989 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like they're not spoofing like Superman plots or anything like that. Which, I mean, if it was me, that's what I would do. I would have like, oh, like he turned into a genie, or like, he's now a super fascist, or he's exposed to red kryptonite, so now he has a cow's head. Like, that's what I would do. But it's mostly just, like, the Tick's just kind of annoying him.
Right.
Well, it feels like those types of conversations you would have before the internet, where it's like, who would win in a fight? This person, like, hey, why doesn't Superman's this dude like that, or that like this, and all those kind of weird schoolyard questions you would have. It's more parodies based on just the general idea of the superheroes, rather than a lot of specific stuff. Other than like the Frank Miller stuff that you were talking about, which it's like, oh, his heat ray is his very hot eyes ray or something like that, like little just dumb little fun things like that,
right?
Which, yeah, not what I expected.
Well, and they focus more, the comedy comes a lot from the mundanity of everything,
yeah,
which makes it like suitable for like a live action show in 2001 where you don't really rely on superhero fights. Like, that's not the deal at all. And I think the 2016 show might delve into similar, or 2017 show, I guess, will delve a lot into that, which comes out later this week or next week. But, you know, because like Batman is not very cool, and he's in the TV show, the second TV show. And yeah, I mean, even like Arthur's super lame, and people think that Arthur is his moth sidekick, but everybody thinks he's a bunny, and he's just an accountant who bought a suit because he wants to be a superhero. And I really liked issue 6, which was a dude wanting to become a superhero, so he paid some other guy, the Red Scare, $5,000 to fight him in public for 4 minutes while a news crew filmed it. And I'm like,
yeah, so honestly, I'm happy just jumping right over the Elektra issues in the middle and getting to number 6, because that's where like I feel the fun really starts. He starts to create his own characters. Right. Another superhero called Running Guy is his name.
Yeah,
which is a great name for a speedster. He has a speed of 10 fast men, which I enjoyed. And yeah, there's like some company, Villains Inc., where you can just go hire a bad guy for publicity. Which is a good idea, and he gets that. Of course, you know, Tick runs into him and does the whole. He accidentally beats him up instead and thinks he's a real supervillain, which is, you know, a funny gag. But yeah, most of that issue is just Tick wandering around with Arthur, and Arthur like shows him his house, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you know, I kind of saw you doing your thing, and I thought maybe I could be a superhero too, so I got this costume and followed you around till I found you."
Yeah, I really like the bit where he's like, oh, like, where's the secret button that, like, flips over your crime-fighting lab?
Yeah, he's like, oh, no, this is just my apartment, just regular apartment. He's like, breaking that, like, what do you call that, a candle holder? There's a word for that. I don't know. I can't think of it. Anyways, candle holder.
Sconce?
A sconce, that's it. He breaks the sconce.
I want a sconce.
What? Wait, what'd you say, Vince?
I just want a sconce now. Be classy.
But any home with a sconce is instantly classier. I did. We did skip over something that I did really love in the Elektra comics. I guess 2 things. Paul the Samurai was a fun character. I know he's gotten some spin-offs. I think maybe I remember him from the cartoon. I'm not sure about that, but he was kind of like a fun character. But also the moment when the Tick is handing him some money for whatever reason, and he's like, "Oh my God, I have pockets." That got me too. That got me good.
Yeah, that's a really good bit. Yeah, I loved Paul the Samurai. He's like, well, I can't bring my katana on the plane, but if I bring this loaf of French bread, who can stop me? They're like, sir, we're gonna have to put this through the X-ray machine. He's like, but it's just French bread.
Sorry, I'm thinking about French bread. I forgot about that. This would be a good time to kind of talk about the cartoon and the show and some of the changes they made. I think at the end of the last episode when I was talking about the Tick, I maybe said it incorrectly. I was under the impression that a lot of those characters from the first cartoon series were from the comics, but it seems as though most of those were created just for the TV show. I guess so that maybe they wouldn't have to rip off so many of the regular comic book characters so directly. I don't know. But then when the show became a live-action show in 2001, they kind of had to do it again, and so they changed it all up again, and that's when you got Batman and all that.
Because what was it? Was it
clean that up in case people were angry about whatever I said last time.
What was it? Die Fledermaus? Basically,
Die Fledermaus, yes.
Basically became Batman for the because I guess Disney the show may have been created for Disney or Fox or whatever channel it was on, or whatever production company it was, and they owned that character and American made as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, where yeah, just all the stuff they made for the TV show for the cartoon couldn't get reused for the TV show. So I'm kind of curious to see what kind of stuff they do for the new live action series. So all I've seen out of the trailers is just Tick and Arthur. Right?
So Tick and Arthur are in it, and the Terror is in it. The Terror is the villain of the final episode of the live action show. So I know that the Terror is in it. What's bonkers to me, though, and I'll take a step back, is that Ben Edlund was a staff writer for all 3 series, which doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you? I've never seen another like property where the comic creators hired to do either the TV show or the movies or the cartoon, and then be in all 3 reboots, involved in all 3 reboots, fairly hands-on. Like, he wrote the pilot for the new series.
Wow.
Which is crazy because they all have like a radical different interpretation of the Tick also, which is...
I think that's really interesting because to me it seems like he may have had, network mandates and things like that. He seems like maybe the type of guy who's just like okay to roll with it and change his idea to make it fit, which... if that's the case, that I have a hell of a lot more respect for him because that's really impressive just to be able to let your idea. I know sometimes if you have ideas, they can be very precious, and you're like, oh my god, no, you can't change it.
I don't think I could I don't think
fans allowing change.
Yeah, I don't think I could reboot my own property 4 times, like between the comic and 3 different TV series. Like, yeah, we'll just restart it. Which is crazy. I mean, his resume is pretty impressive. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at it.
I did a little bit, yeah.
Because he wrote for Firefly. He created some characters for Dr. Horrible. He worked on Supernatural for like 6 years. He worked on Star Wars
Clone.
Clone.
Talk about Supernatural a lot on this show.
Yeah,
I need to watch this show eventually.
It's X-Files. It's X-Files with Christian demons. That's what it is. It's perfectly serviceable. I like Supernatural. All
right, maybe I don't have to check it out then.
No, it's like Ghost Stories. It's fine. I liked it. But he also wrote for like Star Wars Clone Wars, and now he's the pilot writer and wrote like 4 or 5 episodes of the new Tick series for Amazon. Which is crazy. I like the pilot of the new series though because it seems much more focused on Arthur and Arthur's experience because I think Arthur's family got killed by the Terror like 20 years ago and now he's had some psychotic breaks and so now he's not sure people are like talking to him like Arthur like you lose time sometimes. He's like, yeah, it's because I'm like a superhero. And they're like, I don't know. Like, you may just have delusions of grandeur. Like, no, there's like a 6'6" blue dude that like helps me fight crime. And they're like, oh, okay, bro. Like, and that's where the pilot is. Like, so by the pilot, after the pilot, I'm still not sure if the Tick is even real or the Tick is just like a dude who just walks around like shouting monologues at Russian mobsters. Cause that's what it seems like. Well, Arthur just kind of chills.
I hope this 2017 Tick becomes like a parody of like Daredevil on Netflix. That'd be amazing.
Right?
That certainly would fit, yeah. There's a lot. It is funny that I was reading this thing like, okay, Superman parody, cool. He's probably going to do another one of the big guns next. And then I was like, Elektra parody? What? And then I remembered, okay, this is coming out during the height of Frank Miller, and he's doing all his Elektra stuff then.
It's not even that timely is the thing. Like, this is like 88, 87, something like
88,
that.
89, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Frank Miller did Elektra in like 81. And then...
Yeah, but that's probably stuff he read growing up as a fan, so it's what he wanted to parody.
But then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is out by this point. Like, that's the like big Frank Miller Daredevil parody that everyone knows. Like that's the one that made it. And so that was what like 86 or 85?
Yeah, that seems like why the Tick was so big is because somebody's like, these turtle things are huge. I'm going to go find some indie creator that I can go merchandise real quick. And that was the Tick. Which isn't...
And it did really find its own. It's silly in a very different way from the Turtles.
Right. Well, and the Turtles definitely grew out. I think if you went back to the indie comics, they might have started as like a parody. Like I know... like the Turtles are irradiated by the same ooze that fell on Matt Murdock, which is a crazy, like, in joke. Mm-hmm.
Well, they fight the foot instead of the hand.
Right, and Splinter instead of Stick.
Well,
I never realized. I mean, I probably have realized that at some point, and I just keep forgetting it. Splinter and Stick. Man.
Was it Shing? Was that what the equivalent was?
Yeah,
in this?
Shing is what it was in this, which doesn't have that same ring as Splinter.
No.
This book was far more brazen though in its parody. Like it's like Clark Oppenheimer. Okay, Perry Beige, and I was just like I did like that. What was the Kingpin called? The District Manager, and
all the ninjas kept referring to their district manager, and I guess just as like a company hierarchy of ninjas, which I love that way of thinking about it.
They have like an amusement park like in New Jersey.
It was very much the Monarch and his henchmen. I didn't realize that. Very much like a test drive for that. That's crazy. Because they sit around talking about Indiana Jones and make Indiana Jones quotes when they like rob people. It's really weird.
Yeah, that would have been a relatively current reference.
I know.
Yeah, it still works, right? This first issue lasted what, like 9 issues, 11 issues, something like that. And then after that, it was like a lot of little mini series and one shots, and it sounds like just kind of whenever he had an idea for a story or a storyline, he'd just write it and give it its own little naming system, and then not have to worry about kind of sticking to a particular schedule or anything like that. But it seems like they were coming out really consistently from. I guess when this came out in 88 to what, like 99, 2002, like there was at least something every year happening. Which I kind of didn't realize it lasted that long. And I'm surprised they kind of stopped doing Tick comics too. You kind of would think something that popular would have kind of kept going and had a resurgence at some point.
Well, I mean, it kind of has only recently. I mean, I think 2010 or so, they released the colored versions of the original series, and then I think that led into doing another like mini series, which was like the first one they had done in like 7 or 8 years. So it was just kind of, I think, letting the market breathe a little bit, like letting the creator go do other stuff. I mean, good for him that like
he's busy.
That he's so busy. Addition, like a lot of people would have created the Tick and been like, "Well, this is all I need to do."
Right, but he like hooked up with both Joss Whedon and Jackson Public, so like he's on like 2 different weird like nerd cred streams. Like he co-wrote Titan AE with John August and Joss Whedon. It's crazy.
Titan AE.
Yeah,
that's the weird movie to reference, but okay.
That's an underratedly funny movie. I know it didn't make any money, but
I saw it in theaters. It's decent enough. I mean, for a 1999 like sci-fi animated film, it's perfectly fun. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, it just had a budget. It had a budget that was way too much for what it was. It was like a funny comedy.
Yeah.
It had a budget of like $150 million or whatever it was.
Oh, Jesus, really? Oh, wow. I did not think we were going to be talking about Titan AE on this podcast here. I had no idea it was part of it. All right. Wow. So, I mean, we went through these pretty quickly. There's, plot-wise, there's not a whole lot to discuss because it is just kind of fun, goofy jokes and stuff. But this really does make me want to just go back and watch the cartoon and that first live-action series because I remember enjoying both of those a lot, and it's been so long. So I'm probably going to go back into that and probably keep reading some Tick comics afterwards. I might want to read something from later on when he kind of, got his legs under him and knew what he was doing a little bit later. So who knows? Maybe we'll come back and revisit the Tick at some point. Do you guys have anything else in particular you want to say about these? Are we done? It feels like a short episode.
This TikTok was real short.
TikTok.
They were quick reads.
I think it was better than I thought it was going to be, honestly. Like, I thought it was going to be kind of rough going. And then I was like, no, this is funny. And then what was it? It was a 3-part ninja story. I was like, this is 1 part too many. Like, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, the back half of it, when it starts focusing on Paul the Samurai and Arthur kind of technically joins in that 5th issue. So it does make it a little bit more worthwhile and kind of leads into like, okay, we're getting to things.
Yeah, and some of the jokes don't work, but that's just the nature of it. Like Elektra's mom is really scary to me. I was like, I don't understand this. I totally if there was a joke there, I didn't get it. The kind of gay panic, like, Arthur, you're not gay.
Oh yeah, that was weird. That kind of weird homophobia thing. I don't know if it was technically a homophobic joke or just kind of like a parody of that style and sort of machismo, but it played kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, the Tick, obviously, he liked the Elektra character, but he's kind of too stupid to have like a love interest or like to have a real understanding of homosexuality in a way. So when he made that joke, I was like, what?
Yeah. All right, cool. That was it. That was a good episode of TikTok. Vince, you gonna keep reading?
I don't know if I'm gonna keep reading, but I think I may go into the cartoon because I never watched it as a kid. And so I think I'm going to go into that. And I just looked, and the DVD of the live action series is $6.93 on Amazon right now. So
sold. Well, I got to buy a DVD player first, but sold.
But it's dirt cheap if you want to find it. It might even be streaming. I have no idea.
Probably. Chris, how about you? What are you going to do after this?
I don't know if I'm going to keep reading, but that says more about just where I am in my life. It's not a reflection of the Tick. I thought it was good.
Cool. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read everything the Tick has ever done. That's probably not going to happen. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Oh God, next time we got to talk about next time. We every time we kind of don't know what we want to do. What do? We read some Alan Moore because Alan Moore is always good, right? Next time we are reading Promethea. Oh, that's kind of timely. Wonder Woman just came out, and this is his Wonder Woman. What?
I was just singing the 1970s Wonder Woman theme. Wonder Woman.
Oh, you kind of cut out. So all I heard was it sounded like you were in trouble, Vince. Like you were in danger.
Help! Batman! Promethea! Help me!
So we're gonna read the first 6 issues of Promethea from 1999. Who did the art on these?
J.H. Williams III, a really great artist.
Yeah, I really like his art.
He of Batwoman fame.
Yeah, he's done a little bit of
and the 52 covers. Did he do Wanted?
Yeah, those covers.
Or is that J.G. Jones? I may be confusing him with J.G. Jones.
Oh, geez. All right, never mind. So don't quote us on that. We don't know what we're talking about. Join us next time where we will know what we're talking about as we read Promethea by Alan Moore. Thank you so much for listening. For Vince and Chris and myself, Kia, thank you. We love you, and we will see you next time. Bye.